Hi, this is Rabbi Chaim Coffman. Welcome to our 94th installment in the Torah portion of the week. We're holding by Parshas Ekev. Parshas Ekev, book of Deuteronomy, starts beginning of chapter 7, verse 12. Speaks about the reward that God's going to give if a person keeps the mitzvahs. Right? God's going to bless you and multiply you, bless the fruit of your womb. Right? God's going to tell us that the great test that your eyes saw, the signs, the wonders, strong hand, outstretched arm, right? That God showed. Everyone's going to fear you in all this. So basically, you do what God wants. Everything is good. We also learn about the lure of prosperity, and that we're actually going to speak about. And we see about remembering the exodus from Egypt, the receiving of the tablets, the fact that Jewish people are stiff-necked people, they're rebellious, a lot of different things going on here. And one aspect I wanted to hit is chapter 8, verse 17. Person says that a person may say in your heart, my strength, the might of my hand made me all this wealth. Right? So that sounds pretty simple to understand. That a person says that through prosperity, right, through all this money that they make, or they continue to make, or whatever the case is, why do they have it? Says the Torah, because you say the strength and might of my hand made me all this wealth. Then it says, remember Hashem your God. It was He who gave you the strength to make wealth, or to establish His covenant that He swore to your forefathers as this day. That's verse 18. So you see, a person's going to forget God. A person's going to say, I have all this wealth. Because I have all this wealth, I'm the one who did it myself. Because I'm the only one who did it myself, what do I need God for? So in verse 18, it says, no, you have to remember God. He's the one who helped you. He's the one who gave you strength, etc. So we'll speak about that. I want to mention here what my Rabbi says, Mori v'Rebbe Rav Agon Moshlita, may he be well. It brings down in Tam V'das that it says, Koach oitzim v'yadi. Koichi oitzim v'yadi. What does the word koichi, koyach, strength come from? It means according to his kochosav, according to his strength. Right, according to his strength, it says koach etzem v'yadi, or oitzem. Right, koichi v'oitzem yadi. Right, koichi meaning my strength, or my strength, and oitzem yadi, all right, the power of my hands, means that is even beyond my strength. It's the amount that I worked hard, for this, right? For this wealth. It's not just I have strength. It's not just I have certain, I guess, lack of a better word, certain strengths, certain abilities, right? It's beyond. These certain abilities gave me this wealth. So obviously, that's not true. As the Torah continues and says, well, who do you think gave it to you? Who do you think helped you along the way? It's God Himself. Don't forget me, God says. So my Rabbi here points out that many people who earn a living, that they don't learn all day. When people want from them charity, when they ask them for charity, for whatever it is, so they will say, how much I worked for this, how much effort I put in, how much strength, etc., how much I put in order to get this wealth. They're going to get angry that someone wants to separate money from him, that someone else should benefit from the amount of effort I put in. So here, Rabbi points out that somebody like that, it's going to be extremely difficult for them to help, because they don't understand. They think it only came from themselves. They think it's only because how hard they worked and what they did. But they forget that it's God Himself who gave them the wealth and for sure they were helped by God. Now, this is a major thing. I think that many people who work, and they're inundated with people that need help, whether it's help marry off a child, whether it's, God forbid, a sickness, or something else, that what do they feel? They may have a genuine heart, in order to give, that they really want to give, but what is their evil inclination? What does the Yetzer Hara tell them? The Yetzer Hara says, I work so hard, right? I work so hard, and why should I give my hard-earned money? Right? Why should I help you and give my hard-earned money? So, now what they say is I don't even want to say it's partially true. Right? What is true is they work hard. Let's say, for argument's sake, it wasn't handed to them. They work hard and they acquired a tremendous amount of money. Let's say that is true. What they forget is that these strengths that they have didn't come by themselves. In other words, they were nurtured, they were garnered, a person worked hard in order to acquire them. But what they forget is, even if that's true, they forget that it's God who is behind them. God is the one who's given them this wealth. Because you have someone else who can also work just as hard. And if God doesn't want them to have money, they won't. Doesn't matter what they do. But a person makes the mistake, based on them being conceited. Pretty much, they make the mistake and say it's because of the work of my own hands. Everything I have is because of me. Right? All three of us. Me, myself, and I. Me. I did everything. They take God right out of the picture. So what wealth has done, in many ways for many people, is God says, fine, I don't want to have a connection to you. I don't want to see you in the next world. I'm going to give you a ton of money now for whatever mitzvahs you've done in this world. I'll give you merit for it now, and that's it. So God makes them wealthy. And when a person has money, and if they have a lot of money, what it does is it does not make them want to give. It does not make them want to share with others. And it could be for any number of reasons. Right? The main reason here is because they feel they work so hard, which again, it could be true. We're not saying that it didn't happen. They worked very hard, long hours. Why should someone benefit, more than me from the hard work that I did? Why should I, give it to my family? Buy things that I enjoy. I worked for it, worked tremendously hard, a lot of hours. So why should I not be able to benefit? Now the answer is you are allowed to benefit, but you have to help others also. Right? If God gave you this collateral, so to speak, He gave it to you in this world, then if He gave you money, or at least the ability to make money, work hard for it, etc., and He blessed it, so that means you have more of an obligation to help others. But what essentially happens is when a person thinks they've done everything, that takes God right out of the picture. Because what is the language here? And you may say in your heart, my strength and the might of my hands made me this wealth. Me. There is no God here. How many wealthy people today, Jewish or non-Jewish, have God in their life? Probably not a significant amount. Because the more money a person has, more successful they are, they think they've done it themselves. Now, they should be tremendously lucky that God has blessed them. Because there could be other people, same skill set, same IQ, same connections. One person makes it, another person doesn't. Right? So why should that be? So some people say, this person doesn't know how to market. This person's not a people person. This person, go down the list of reasons why this other person's a loser. And why they can't use the same skill set to do the same thing. So, the reason is, even if you have the same skill set, you say it over the exact same way. You advertise the exact same way. And we're not talking about oversaturation of the market. What we're saying is, they're doing exactly the same thing. Why should one person be successful, have money, no worries? Doesn't matter how hard they work. They're both working the same amount. And the other person not have. So the simple answer is because God doesn't want them to have it. You look at Machane Yehuda, the Jewish marketplace, and everyone gets their vegetables from the same place. They want to tell me someone spruces them up, screams a little bit louder. Say, my tomatoes, number one. Right, my onions, number one. He's screaming. You got to tell me he's got better locations. He's got this, he's got that. He's got all these different factors why he should make money, more money than someone else. They have the same exact produce. One's not undercutting the other by a tremendous amount. Both selling for similar price. Why should a lot of people come to one and less people come to the other? Again, you could say maybe his stall's not in a good place, maybe this, maybe it's that. But see, there's a much bigger reason. What's the much bigger reason? God's the one who controls the world. God's the one who makes or breaks people. If he wants this person to have money, the person could work like a dog, and God will give it to him. If God doesn't want him to work so hard, he can also give it to him without him working so hard. But let's not make any mistake. God's the one in control. So by the sin of the golden calf, one of the claims Moshe Rabbeinu has against God is that he tries to save the Jewish people, is the fact that the Jewish people sinned when they gave all this jewelry and whatever, building the Mishkan. The Erev Rav, the mixed multitude, took it, threw it in the fire. Out came a speaking calf that spoke, that ate, etc. And they said, this is our God, took us out of Egypt. So you have to see the whole story over there, exactly what happened. But Moshe Rabbeinu has a claim. God wants to destroy the entire Jewish people, make a nation out of Moshe. Moshe says no. Moshe says you're stuck with these people, etc. But Moshe Rabbeinu has a claim. One claim is, you gave him so much wealth, you're the one who caused it. Right? The Medrash says it's as if to say, God made them with money, meaning he made them wealthy. And through wealth, they forgot God. The Moshe Rabbeinu's claim is, what do you want from them? You gave them wealth. You gave them wealth. This is the curse. They're going to have so much money, and in the end, they're going to forget God. And that's what's going to happen. And that's what happened. Right? It's an interesting claim Moshe makes. But you see from here that with tremendous amount of wealth, what do? They forget God. So if a person's had ups and downs, not everyone is always on top. Right? If a person's had ups and downs, when he's down and he struggles and he makes it back up, he should live his life differently. You should understand that it's not necessarily what he does or how he does it. It's about the fact that God either blesses it or he doesn't bless it. And if he doesn't bless it, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what avenue of advertising you do. It's not going to go. And the reason is because God doesn't want it to go. If he would want it to go, it would. So we have to remember everything is dependent on him. Problem is we live in a very physical world where spirituality pretty much goes out the window. With that being said, a person is going to look at his life. He's going to say, I make or break what happens. I'm the one in charge. Oh, you want to pray this guy in the stick? You want to believe in a God you can't see? All right, fine. You do whatever you want. What I do depends on me. Everything I do depends on me. And the Torah says, not that way. Right? Torah says explicitly. Torah says, remember, it's God that gave you the strength to make wealth. Not you did it yourself. Who do you think gave you the ability to do it? Gave you the brain power to do it. Put you in a certain direction. Because God wanted you to have the money. But He wanted you to have the money to help others. To be able to show benevolence. He didn't want you to have the money in order to blow it. Now there are plenty of people in this world that are given a lot of money. And they blow it. You know, they have the ability to give to good things. They choose not to. They mismanage it. And it's gone. So that's tragic. You know, a person who gives to a proper charity, that could be their ticket to the next world. You know, instead, you know, if they don't help people, or let's say they help people but they give to the wrong charity. You know, someone had millions of dollars and they leave it to save the whales. Now, I'm not saying save the whales is, you know, is such a horrible thing. You know, but if you have an opportunity to give to Torah, you know, to help orphans get married, or whatever the case is, something that's legit, that money has tremendous power. If you give it to save animals, again, we're not saying saving animals is not necessarily, you know, a good thing. But, you know, if it's on a scale, if I had to pick my top 25, you know, charities, where to go that you fulfill your obligation according to the Torah for giving charity, saving the whales out of 25 is about 220. That's where it comes down on the list, probably even further. Right? No offense to anyone, you know, out there that enjoys this organization that helps save the whales. Right? But the point is, that's not a charity I should be giving to. I should be giving to a charity that helps other Jews. Right? We are selfish, okay. You know, people can claim all kinds of things. But most people help their own first. It's not a new thing. You know, it's not about being, having a big ego. When it comes to family, if you had money to help, to help someone, and you can only help like 2 people, and you know there are 2 people in your family that are struggling, you help them first. Because it's family. Oh, you're sexist, you're this, why are you doing that? You think of yourself and your family first. That's what people do. That's the reality. People closest to you. So when it comes to giving charity, charity starts at home. Right? You start with the people that are closest. It's not a racist thing. Alright, that's the reality. What, I should start helping, other institutions or whatever, as valid as they may be, but a person has a brother that's sick, can't pay his bills, or whatever, money should go to him first. I mean, all things being equal. Money should go to them first. What are you doing to get, giving to something else? You gotta help your family first. People forget that also. They'll help everyone else out, right? Or, they'll give to certain charities, but if they have, a sibling, a parent, or whatever, that is struggling, they could help them, they don't. They'll give you a million excuses why. They're irresponsible, I don't know about what they do, blah, blah, blah. And they'll give to some, other non-valid charity. So we're not here to speak about what's valid, what's not valid, by charity. The question is about giving. And someone who thinks that the money they have is because of how hard they worked, again, I get it. That's definitely true. They worked hard. But you see, if it's not blessed, that working hard goes nowhere. That working hard could get you absolutely zero. And a person can struggle their whole life, even if they're in a high-level profession. That should make a lot of money. I mean, shouldn't most lawyers make a lot of money? They charge enough. All you have to do is get enough clients to be able to do very well. After you pay off all your loans, fine. But how are the lawyers out there don't make it? I know somebody that was, I forget what type of lawyer that they were, but he didn't make it big. I mean, it seemed like he covered his bills, wasn't in debt, etc. He certainly didn't make it big. So again, you could say maybe it wasn't charismatic, maybe it wasn't this. You can say any number of excuses. But someone who's in a high-paying profession, they don't make it. Either you can say there's a problem with the person, which probably the majority of people will say. Or you say what we've been saying up until this point. If this person has God's blessing, it'll go. Even if he's deficient in other areas. If he doesn't have God's blessing, doesn't matter what he does. He's always going to struggle. Until God says, okay, you don't have to struggle anymore. Fine, whatever the case is. But a person should never make the mistake, and unfortunately many do. They make the mistake and say, I did everything. I took myself out of my mother's womb. Really? He really did that? I don't think so. Despite who my parents are, I became who I am. That's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, you have to have gratitude. Your parents are your parents. They brought you into this world. How they treated you, what they did, okay, that's a different story. Right? That's a different story. But without them, you wouldn't be here. When a person says, I became great despite them, that's called being conceited. That's called having a chip on your shoulder. They may have not given you what you thought you deserved in values and other things, whatever the case is. But you have to show respect. You have to have gratitude. Without them, I would venture to say, and it's a good thing I'm taping this, I would venture to say, without them, you don't come into the world. Right? Unless you're a test tube baby. Right? But otherwise, you need two parents in general. Right? That's the way it works. It's biology 101A. So that being the case, how can you say, I became who I am despite my parents? So I understand the concept. Parents maybe, didn't have the capability to educate them properly. Had other issues, etc. Yeah, I understand that. We don't live in a perfect world. Right? We'll probably have many claims against our parents for things they did to us. When we were younger. Now, they may be legit, doesn't matter. You still have to have gratitude. As long as they're not abusing you, you have to have gratitude. You cannot, you can't make fun of them, you can't embarrass them. Right? Even if they're considered evil, according to what the Torah says, even if they don't know anything, they may still be considered evil. Even if that is the case, you still have to have gratitude. Why do you have to have gratitude? Because the Torah says so. Because the Torah says you have to honor your parents. One of the 10 Commandments. To honor, you have to respect them. Right? The question what that means. What type of honor? What type of respect? Yeah. We can discuss it one time. But for someone to say, and again, if I wouldn't have heard this with my own ears, wouldn't believe it. I'm not surprised people could say it. But it just shows a very high level of being conceited. Right? It's not, I have a vendetta. That doesn't matter, what this person says. Now, we're analyzing what was said and what the intention was. So that's like saying, I don't need anybody. I'm conceited. I'm great. Doesn't matter what happens around me. I make my own world. Right? You watch these TV shows, in the 80s, you had the Dynasty, you had Dallas. You had these TV shows, The Rich and Famous, and how they acted towards one another and what they did, and what totally horrible character traits. There's no question. But the point is the same. When a person has a lot, meaning they have a lot of money, property, etc., they think they can do anything. And they think everything they do is because of them. It's all about, me, all of us. That's what it revolves around. That cannot be further from the truth. Because for the good and bad that occurs in a person's life, Where does it all come from? It stems from God himself. And this is the problem within Judaism, that people will say, well, if God is all good, why is there evil? Right? We're not going to speak about that. But that's an obvious question. So if God puts me in all these situations, why? So can't answer why, per se. There may be any number of factors involved. But the point is that if he puts you in all these situations, and he wants you to grow, and he wants to raise yourself to a higher spiritual level, then he can put you in difficult situations. We can't be like, the dog that gets hit by a stick and the dog chases the stick. Dog should be chasing the person. If anything bad happens to us, who are we looking at? We're not looking at the person that did it. The person that did it is just a messenger. Now, this is a hard thing to put in your heart and, get it from your brain to your heart. He's only a messenger. But at the end of the day, God's sending you a message. And the person caused you damage because you deserved it. He's just a messenger. So why get mad at the messenger? Get mad at who did it? Well, who did it? God. Why did he do it? It's a good question. Could be payback something your soul did in the previous world. Right? Previous time it was here. And now it has to come back and be punished, etc. Could be something you did yourself that you deserve to be punished. Right? It could be any number of factors. We don't really know. Right? We can't pinpoint. We have a prophet, which don't exist today. And the prophet would come and tell us. Or God would reveal to us in a dream or whatever, in order that we should understand. But make no mistake, God is a stick. He's the one wielding the stick. The only question is, who's the one that uses it? Which person, is going to be that messenger? And that person's not forced to do it. Right? But he's used as the messenger. For whatever reason. So if, if that's the case, it's not just what I did or didn't do. This person came into my life. This person, has an axe to grind for whatever reason, and I have to suffer. So then you have to think, what did I do? What did I do that I deserve this to happen? Because nothing happens for no reason. So in this case where someone says, I did it by myself. I had no help. That's exactly what they're saying. I had no help. I'm my own master. I created myself. Sound familiar? Sounds like Pharaoh. Right? Pharaoh made himself into a god. So God tells Moshe, go down to the river. Go to the Nile. Tell Pharaoh, what you're going to do. And why does he go down to the river? Because Pharaoh was a god. Obviously, God doesn't have to urinate, or go to the bathroom. So what does he go to the Nile for in the middle of the night so people don't find him? People don't see that he's not a god. Didn't he know he wasn't a god? Of course he knew. But he was also tremendously conceited. So God knocked down his conceitedness by having Moshe show up. Right? And he had Moshe show up exactly when he was doing his business. So we can make ourselves in a certain way, into God. But what this does is so dangerous, is that basically it takes God out of the picture. So when the person's a hotshot lawyer, he's working on Wall Street, works for a big company, whatever the case, whatever prestige or anything that they have, yes, in a certain way, they have to go through the motions. They have to get the knowledge, etc. They have to do what they need to do to get there. But there's somebody in the background orchestrating. And that orchestration, I don't even know if that's a word, that orchestrating in the background is of crucial importance. Because without God in the background, none of this ever gets off the ground. This is a non-starter. But people forget that. They get caught up. They get caught up in all, in the everyday and everything that they go through. And, the more money is the more power. The more power, the more ability to corrupt. And when it corrupts, what does it do? It corrupts to the core. It makes you forget the source of where you come from. And that is tragic. That is absolutely tragic. And that is sometimes something we forget. And something we have to remember. No matter what I do, no matter what effort I put in, God is the one running the show. And not only that, but if a person has difficulty, or it's hard, God's putting you in that situation also. Because He wants you to grow. Right? Could be this payback. Could be there's any number of reasons which we don't fathom. And it's okay. Right? We're not God and we're not playing Him on TV. It's okay to say we don't understand why it happens. But a lot of things happen because of what we do. Repercussions may come later. Repercussions could be, because of our soul that came back to this world. Could be for any number of reasons. At the end of the day, it's all dependent on us. It's dependent on us, though, that we cannot forget there's somebody in the background. Just because we don't see Him, and just because we don't fathom His presence, does not mean He's not here. Right? Does not mean that. We have to remember, God is orchestrating everything at all times. Right? At many, many different levels. Certainly in the spiritual world, it manifests itself in the physical world. However that works. But He's the one doing it. We cannot forget that. So if you look at the world today, you look at most of the world today, this concept goes out the window. Because no matter how much you want to say God's behind it, they will show me. Show me where God is. Show me what God did. Did He go up and flip these burgers? Did He go and, make this diamond into a pearl? Whatever. Did He do all these things? He didn't do it. I did it. My workers did it. So you say, well, isn't that a leap of faith? Isn't that a leap of faith to say that, even though we can't see God, that He's the one doing it? Well, there's an obvious question. And to answer that question, we'll go to the obvious question. That is, did God give the Torah to the Jewish people through Moshe or not? Is it true or is it not true? Are there places in the Torah that are not factual? We have to look verse by verse, see what it means, see what the commentaries tell us it means, right? You need a running commentary, otherwise very hard to understand. This, I think, is relatively simple. So all the Karaites out there will be very excited. They'll be ecstatic. Oh, thank God. He didn't quote any commentators. Right? Okay, I mentioned my Rabbi here. Let's look at the simple verse. A simple verse says, you'll say in your heart, my strength, might of my hand, made me all this wealth. You should remember God, Hashem your God, it was He, gave you strength, make wealth, establish His covenant. So who's the one doing things? Karaites? All you Karaites, raise your hand. Come on, raise your hand. Who did it? Simple explanation. Tell me what the verses mean. It means God did it. I don't need Webster's fourth definition. I don't need any inferences. This is black on white. So Karaites, give me a big hug. You love me now. Black and white. You have wealth. You will forget me. Now, why would God give a person wealth? Why would He give the people the ability to go astray? Because you don't find too many people today that have wealth in our Torah scholars. Usually by Torah scholars you find out that they're poor. They don't have so much money. The reason is very simple, because wealth and Torah scholarship don't always go hand in hand, or almost never go hand in hand. I won't say never, but there are rare cases of people who are tremendous Talmudic scholars and were also wealthy. You can probably count them on one hand over the last 1,000 years. Not too many. Or the last 2,000 years. Not too many. Because it doesn't mix. Because someone who has wealth wants more wealth, wants to figure out how they're going to keep it, how it's going to survive. And they're not going to be interested in Talmudic scholarship. They're going to be interested in making more money. Because once you have, you want more. Person's got 100, says the Mishnah in Perkei Avos, says Ethics of Our Fathers. You want 200. You got 200, you want 400. Pretty simple. But you forget the one who's running the world. You forget it's not just about you. It's not just about how much effort you put in. It's all true you put in a lot of effort. But you're missing one major element. You're missing the godly element. And the godly element over here is absolutely crucial. Time and time again, you will see people have money, will lose it, may gain it back, may not, etc. But someone who gains it back doesn't do things the same way they did the first time around. Right? Because they're going to work even harder to keep it. But see, when a person has adversity should teach them what mistakes not to make second time around. So, a person could struggle many years, and all of a sudden things go good. You're going to say, what changed? You could come up with any number of excuses. This changed, that changed, something else changed. But you know what really changed? What really changed is the one who wanted it to change. And that is God Himself. He wanted you not to struggle anymore. And therefore, He made it that you're going to be okay. More than okay. If the person had money and he lost it, so that's what God wanted. You didn't use it properly, you don't deserve it. So God wanted to teach them a lesson. Could be when they learn the lesson, they'll get it back. Or not. Right? But if a person gets it back, you better have learned the lesson. Because then it's going to be 10 times harder. But it all revolves around the same thing. What it revolves around is the fact that God wills it. If He doesn't will it, guess what? You can stand on your head. You can have a 250 IQ. Doesn't mean anything. Because God doesn't want you to have it. He doesn't will it. If He wills it, even with minimal effort, you'll be successful. All the more so you put a tremendous amount of effort. So let's look at the other aspect. The other aspect my Rabbi here points out is that why doesn't a person want to give charity? Why does he want to help out others? And the simple answer is because he's worked so hard. Why should I give to you after all the hard work I've done? You've done nothing to deserve it. You just want me to take out a check and write it so I can help you. So you're looking at yourself as, oh, look what I can do. I have the power. I can give as much as I want. I can give as little, this, that. But you're not showing any class over here. What you're saying is, I work so hard for this. Why would I give it to you? Doesn't matter how much I'm going to give. Why in the world would I give it to someone else? Says the Torah, that is a selfish attitude. That, you have no business having the money if you're going to act like that. Because you forgot the main element. And God is saying, that's me with the big G. I am the big G. Can't forget about me. Oh, you're going to forget about me? Well, guess what? Let's see what happens when I don't help you. Let's see what happens when I turn the screws a little bit, make your life uncomfortable. Then what? Then you make all kinds of other excuses. I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have done the other thing. But you didn't have the bracha. You didn't have the blessing. Without the blessing, doesn't matter what you do. You'll never be successful. It's a 100% impossibility based on what the Torah over here says, black and white. Because the only reason you're successful is because God wants you to be. You worked hard? Okay. You worked hard? I agree. Spent many, many hours. Many back-breaking hours. But in the end you got. But it wasn't because of that. It's because of the blessing. And that people very often forget. Why? Because they're so caught up. They're so caught up in everything. If they start to falter or start to lose things, like, God, where are you? How come you're not helping me? Yeah, that's when they remember. Sometimes too late. Sometimes spiral just, you fall by the wayside. So that being the case, you forget. You only remember when it's hard. You only remember when you're stuck. Things are going good. As the Torah says, you will forget me. And isn't that true by most wealthy people? They need God in their lives? No, they don't. Or they don't think they do. They give God lip service. They forget everything He's done. Now, when they come back and say, no, I realize this, that, then God has a choice. Should He help him? Shouldn't He help him? And if He does help him, the person better get the message. Right? We mentioned this before. If they don't get the message, next time around when they suffer, it's going to be a lot worse. Because God says, okay, I took you out of this. I helped you. So what did you do? What change did you make in your life? What thanks did I get? And the answer is one big goose egg. See how big I can make it. One big goose egg. You forgot who gave it to you. And then, second time around, it's worse. Because you didn't get the message. So Moshe Rabbeinu, before he dies, weeks before he dies, is telling us very significant messages. He's saying you're going to have great wealth. He's giving them that blessing. But he says, remember, that blessing is going to come at a price. That price is going to be you're going to forget God. So you say, isn't it better to be poor? People don't want to be poor either. Not knowing where your next meal is going to be, how you're going to pay this and pay that. Nobody wants to be in that situation. So I would say, get the message, understand it, and every step along the way, when you pray 3 times a day, you are going to remember who the one is that is helping you. And you're going to pray with all your intention. And pray that God gives you the understanding never to forget the lesson. Because when a person has it, there's no guarantee you have it tomorrow. There's no guarantee the next day. Right? The same thing with the mun. When they took in the manna. Right? Once it's gone, there's nothing left. They have to wait till the next day. But alright, it came yesterday, it came the day before, it came a month before. How do I know it's going to come tomorrow? God is working on flexing their spiritual emunah muscles. So for us in the physical world, even if things are going good, you should pray every day like things are going bad. Right? Who says it's going to stay the same? Right? Nobody. So we have to take advantage. Even if things are going good, and remember that they're good. And remember that God's the one in charge. Because tomorrow, He could change everything. Tomorrow, you're making a ton of money. In one fell swoop, the company shuts down. Right? Comes all at once. No warning. Boom. Things can happen in the blink of an eye. Obviously, we don't want it to happen. Obviously, we want the good to continue. The person should pray like, they're struggling. Because there's just no guarantee. Nothing is guaranteed. It could be a person's merit's already up. Now God says, okay, now I'm going to turn the screws. Right? He's going to turn the screws. Could happen overnight. Could happen over time. Could be a slow, agonizing death. Could be. But you darn well better appreciate what you got. And remember where everything comes from. Because if you forget, and the lesson isn't learned, there's payback. There's a lot of payback. So we're coming close to the month of Elul. Month of Elul is preparation for Rosh Hashanah. 30-day preparation. We have to be introspective. We have to look into ourselves. We have to look at what we've done over the year. Have we given God, or not given Him what He wants? Have we not served the way we should have? Have we not been thankful enough? Got to remember where everything comes from. You say, wow, this isn't rocket science. You're right. It's not, but we don't live our lives this way. We think everything depends on us. I speak to the right person, I got the right connection, I got this, I got that. At the end of the day, if God wants it, it'll go. If He doesn't want it, doesn't matter what you do. That lesson we have to learn. I want to remind people, I have a course called Discover Your Biblical Path. I have 6 modules. For anyone coming out of Christianity or any type of idolatry, they want to make a choice to come to Judaism or to be a Noahide. So I speak about different aspects of Judaism and oral law and how that works, what it means to be a Noahide, how to find a rabbi, how to find a community for both, dealing with family, etc., family and friends. And I have 7 interviews. And the interviews are from people who either converted to Judaism in the process of conversion, or people stayed as Noahide. So that you can find on my Facebook fan page, Beyond Orthodox Conversion to Judaism, or orthodoxconversion.com. Right, that is my blog. I also have a page called Beyond Noahide, so I help people in conversion, as well as Noahides every Tuesday night. Has nothing to do with conversion. I give a class, an intro to Kabbalah. We're working on order of the day in prayer. We're going to speak about some of the holidays, the end of the book of Derech Hashem, the way of God. Anyone interested in that, that's 9 o'clock on Tuesday nights. Every other Wednesday night, this Wednesday night, we will do a class. We'll do a video on Tanakh Talk, T-N-A-K-T-A-L-K, TanakhTalk.com, or Tanakh Talk on YouTube. Controversial issues. Every Tuesday, usually every Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesday, 10 a.m. New York time. Thursday, 2 p.m. New York time. There is a question and answer session. People can ask whatever they want. And every Sunday, 9 a.m., which is free, is a Torah Portion of the Week class, where I go through all the, we're holding by Exodus chapter 35, where I go through a lot of the commentaries, etc., about the Torah, what it says, spoken about homosexuality, euthanasia, marriage, divorce, all these fun, interesting topics. It's more my philosophical class. That's for 2 hours on Sunday. And anyone who wants to contact me, feel free. Send me an email at rabbichaimcoffman@gmail.com. RABBICHAIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com. Wishing everyone a great Shabbos.